Let's go ahead and use properties of logarithms to help us solve logarithmic equations. Both of these that you see right here are logarithmic equations because they're equations because they're the equal sign and they have logs in them. Now, when you're dealing with solving logarithmic equations, you want to reduce the number of logs that you're dealing with. You either want to reduce the whole problem to one logarithm or reduce each side to one logarithm. So on the left side, we have a log plus a log. So we can use properties of logarithms that says, well, all we have to do is just multiply what's after our logs. So we have an x times an x plus 2. Now, there's no log over here. If there was a log over here, we could use something from the last lesson that said if we have one log on the left, the one log on the right, what's afterwards has to be equal. But we don't have that over here. But what we can do is we can go ahead and change it from the logarithmic form to the exponential form. So we can take this and we can swing it over here, do the Tarzan, and it hits this up as the exponent. So whether you use the definition of a logarithm or use the idea of Tarzan, which is really the definition of a logarithm, we end up getting this statement right here. Now you'll notice this ends up being quadratic. Well, to solve any quadratic, all we have to do is set it equal to 0. Then sometimes we can factor it, other times we have to use quadratic formula. In this case, it factors nicely. And we get two numbers of -4 and 2. But remember, definition of a logarithm said that whatever's after your log has to be positive. So we have to check our answers. Sometimes negative answers will work. Sometimes positive answers won't. It all depends upon the original problem. You need to check it into the original problem. So let's take our -4. Plug it in here after this log. Well, that ends up being negative. So that does not work. If we take our 2 and plug it in, well, it's positive here. 2 plus 2 over here is positive. So 2 works. So we only have one answer, and that is 2, because what's after, or the -4 causes you to get a negative after your log. The top right one up here, we only have one log on the left. There's not much we can do with that. However, we have two logs on the right, and the logs are being added. A log plus a log, we can use properties of logarithms and put that together. A log plus a log means we multiply what's afterwards. So this goes back to what we were dealing with in the last lesson, where you had one log on the left, one log on the right, one log on the left, one log on the right, and they're equal. What's after your logs also has to be equal. So for the most part, you can just drop your logs. Just don't drop the logs on your foot because that would hurt. So now we can finish solving it. And we get 13/3. Once again, we need to take this answer, plug it into the original problem to see if it would work. 3 times 13/3 is 13 plus 2 is 15, which is positive, so that will work. If we plugged it in and it did not work, we'd have to go with no solution. Now, a couple things down here in red. On this first problem on the left, not everything had logs. So if everything does not have logs, you reduce it down to a single logarithm and then put it into exponential form. Problem on the top right, everything had logs. So you reduce each side down to a logarithm and then use that idea of a log on the left equaling a log on the left. What's after your logs have to be the same. You should have both of these things in red written down in your notes. So go ahead and try to solve these two without the video, and then cruise through the video to see if you were right. Properties of logarithms says we can go ahead and multiply what's after our logs. Then we can write it in exponential form. Take the 2, swing it over, hits the 4 up as the exponent. Nice normal quadratic, set it equal to 0. Factor it, set each one equal to 0. We get 2 answers. Then we got to check our answers. Take 8, plug it in. 8 is positive. 8 minus 6 is positive, so the 8 works. Plug in the -2. -2 doesn't cause you to be positive here, so that doesn't work. So your only answer is 8. Top right, Everything has logs, so we need to try to get everything down to 1 logarithm. But here we have a number in front of your log, so we're going to go ahead and move that up as an exponent first. Then on the left, we have a log minus a log, so we can write that as 1 logarithm on the left. Log minus a log, remember, means you have to divide. So then we have 1 log on each side. So then we can go ahead and drop the logs, work with what's left. Then we just have a nice normal equation. We can multiply both sides by 5. Then we can go ahead and take our 4th root, and we get plus or minus 5. Then you need to check it into the original. Does positive 5 cause you to get a negative after your logarithms up here? Well, we only have to check it here because it's the only spot with a log. Positive 5 works. Take negative 5, and it causes you to get a negative there. It does not work. So your only answer is positive 5.